Chapter 36. The Tournament's Arrival. The days for the tournaments to begin grew ever closer. The preliminaries for classes A through C took place over the course of a few days, with the top students from each year competing to secure their spots in the public tournament. Kaizen faced his opponents with ease, demonstrating a superior level of taijutsu and earning him a place in the final tournament without much difficulty. As Kaizen observed classes B and C, he noticed that none of the participants were familiar faces from the series he remembered. It puzzled him, making him wonder where notable characters like Obito Uchiha and Rin Nohara were placed among the various class grades. Their absence from the matches piqued his curiosity about the Academy's sorting process. Kaizen considered Obito Uchiha first. Based on what he remembered about Obito's initial talent level, Kaizen speculated that Obito would fall somewhere in the low G through P or high Q through Z range of class grades. Obito had shown potential but struggled with consistency and confidence early on. Kaizen reflected on how Obito went from having relatively little talent to becoming one of the strongest ninjas in the series in just a few years. He thought about the pivotal moments when Obito killed several ninjas of the Hidden Mist after Rin's death and orchestrated the infamous Kyuubi attack on Konoha. Although Obito wasn't a match for Minato at that point, he still managed to indirectly kill Minato and Kushina, traumatize a large portion of Konoha, and shift suspicion onto the entire Uchiha clan. Kaizen wondered what could have caused such a significant leap in Obito's talent and power. He couldn't help but hope that some of the absurdities from the Naruto series didn't become a part of his new reality. He remembered being incredibly disappointed with the use of Hashirama cells as a convenient plot device to solve most plot holes or explain incredible leaps in strength. Next, Kaizen thought about Rin Nohara. Rin was known for her gentle nature and strong aptitude in medical ninjutsu. He didn't remember much about her combat abilities, but he did recall her being an intelligent support medical ninja who was somehow capable of performing an eye transplant operation on the battlefield, taking Obito's left Sharingan and implanting it into Kakashi's left eye with seemingly little effort. If he had to guess, she would probably be in the high G through P range or possibly even class F at the moment. He could see her talent over the course of her academy years improving to class B or C, but it might be too much to say for a class A ranking. After all, he isn't even entirely sure what all encompasses the decisions to put students within different graded classes, as well as their individual rankings. From what he has learned so far, Class A has incredibly high standards that will seemingly increase to higher levels as time moves forward. Kaizen also speculated about other key figures such as Kurenai Yuhi and Asuma Sarutobi. As far as he knew, they were a year older than Kakashi and himself. This meant they could possibly be in the academy now, competing in the Year 2 tournaments, or they might not be attending the academy until next year. The thought added an element of uncertainty, reminding him that he couldn't reliably predict everything about this world, even with his prior knowledge. After the preliminaries, the days passed until the tournament for classes A through C finally arrived. Kaizen woke up early, performing his usual routine and grabbing breakfast. He had been told that he would be escorted to the stadium sometime in the morning, so he returned to his dorm room and meditated until it was time to leave. Sometime after the sun rose, signaling the early morning hours, Kaizen's meditation was interrupted by a knock at his door. Upon opening, he was greeted by a group of academy staff and senior students who had gathered to escort him to the stadium. Among them was Hiroshi-sensei, who gave him an encouraging nod. As they began their walk through the village, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Villagers paused in their morning routines to watch the procession. Some waved, while others offered words of encouragement and good luck wishes. The recognition from the villagers made Kaizen realize the significance of the tournament, not just for students like him, but for the entire community. These tournaments were more than just a test of skill for the young shinobi in training, they were a beacon of hope for the entire village. For many, the tournaments were a welcome distraction from the bleak events in the world and a chance to witness the promise of a new generation. He imagined that the tournaments were just one of many implementations by the village leadership to bring the community together and promote a happy atmosphere. These events served as a reminder that even in times of hardship, there were moments of joy and pride to be found. They showcased the strength and resilience of the village, proving that they could rise above their challenges and look forward to a brighter future. Kaizen chuckled a bit to himself. I'm starting to feel like a will of fire in formal thinking like this. The streets around them were alive with activity, vendors setting up stalls selling an array of snacks, trinkets and tournament-themed souvenirs. Brightly colored banners and flags fluttered in the gentle breeze, adding a festive touch to the scene. The rich aroma of freshly prepared food wafted through the air, mingling with the earthy scent of the morning dew. As they walked, Kaizen could hear the lively chatter of the villagers, the laughter of children playing nearby, and the occasional cheer from enthusiastic supporters. Each step closer to the stadium seemed to amplify the energy around him. It feels like this is a designated route for competitors in the tournament to take. If I had to guess, it's meant to excite the citizens while also getting the students worked up. It shows exactly who we will be protecting and fighting for in the future. I can't help but be impressed by the leadership's subtle approach. It serves as a pathos approach to fostering the will of fire within the students, as well as decreasing the disconnect between the villagers and the shinobi who fight for them. Very clever indeed. While walking, Kaizen's senses were heightened as usual, every detail around him being observed. He noticed the interesting designs on several stalls, the vibrant patterns on several of the banners, and the eager expressions on the faces of those around him. The touch of the cool morning breeze on his skin was refreshing, contrasting with the warmth of the sun starting to rise. The crowd thickened as they approached the stadium. Families and groups of friends hurried ahead, eager to secure good seats. The atmosphere was almost electric, an energy that seemed to lift everyone's spirits. Children tugged at their parents' sleeves, pointing excitedly at the academy students making their way to the event. "Look, Mummy, it's the students from the academy," one child exclaimed, eyes wide with excitement. "Do you think we'll see some amazing jutsu today?" another child asked, tugging at his father's arm. Kaizen carried himself with a kind smile and reserved confidence, absorbing the scene around him. Some villagers called out to him as he passed by. "There goes Kaizen. I've heard he's one of the top students," an elderly man remarked, nodding in approval. "Good luck, Kaizen. We're all rooting for you," a woman shouted, waving enthusiastically. "I suppose they released information about us in the gambling halls either yesterday or the previous weekend. It would make sense if that's the case. Otherwise, bettors wouldn't be as willing to place money on people they know little to nothing about." However, something that Kaizen wasn't aware of was that during the previous weekend and this weekend, the announcers would speak about the Year 1 students and other notable students among the upper years that were participating. The staff would also hang pictures of them around the stadium where the audience would be able to clearly see them and their names. Those actions, as well as the information provided in the betting areas, made someone like Kaizen a lot more well-known than even he might have realized. There was no doubt that information about Kaizen's performances made him a popular student to watch out for, but what made him extremely popular among many civilians was his background as an orphan. There would always be a sort of gravitation towards people who come from nothing and are achieving success through their own unrelenting efforts. Many people of Konoha had this sort of feeling about Kaizen and wanted to see him succeed as a result. As they continued walking, Kaizen couldn't help but feel a sense of unity with his fellow competitors and spectators, all gathered for a common purpose. The anticipation in the air was contagious, and Kaizen felt ready to provide a good show for the people. Soon, the stadium came into view, its grand structure standing tall against the morning sky. As they approached, Kaizen was taken aback by its scale and the intricate blend of traditional architecture with modern enhancements. The outer walls were adorned with elaborate carvings depicting iconic shinobi of the village. Banners and flags bearing the academy's emblem fluttered in the breeze, adding vibrant splashes of color against the stone facade. The main entrance was bustling with activity as villagers streamed in, their excitement palpable. Kaizen noted the different seating areas as they made their way inside. The general seating was already filling up with families and groups of friends, their animated conversations creating a lively hum. In contrast, the premium sections were more reserved, with plush seats and viewing boxes that offered a perfect vantage point over the arena. These sections were adorned with elaborate decorations, indicating the status and prestige of their occupants. As they moved through the corridors, Kaizen's attention was drawn to the various merchants who rented spaces within the stadium. The clink of metal and the rustling of fabric filled the air as they prepared their goods. He could hear the cheerful banter between vendors and early customers, negotiating prices and exchanging stories. The concession stands were a flurry of activity, with cafeteria personnel from the academy working alongside local vendors to provide a wide array of treats for the attendees. Upon entering the competitor waiting area, Kaizen felt a shift in the atmosphere. The buzz of the crowd was replaced by a focused silence, broken only by the soft murmurs of students and the occasional clink of weapons being adjusted. The room was filled with students from various years, all preparing for their matches. Some were stretching, others practicing quick drills, each lost in their own pre-match rituals. Kaizen exchanged respectful nods with a few familiar faces. The atmosphere was a mix of tension and camaraderie as they checked their equipment and went through last-minute warm-ups. He could sense the nervous energy in the room, the unspoken understanding that today would serve as a measure of their hard work and training. As Kaizen settled into a quiet corner of the waiting area, he sat down and began to meditate. He had already done all the necessary work, and now it was almost time to showcase his talents in front of the village. He hadn't expected such an opportunity to come so soon, but he was determined to make the most of it. After some time passed and it became time to begin, the energy in the stadium reached a crescendo as Principal Kamiko stepped onto a raised platform at the center of the arena. Principal Kamiko's voice, amplified by the sound system, resonated throughout the stadium. "Welcome everyone, to the fourth and final day of the spring tournament for Konohagakure Ninja Academy," she began, her tone warm and authoritative. "Today we gather to witness the fruits of our students' hard work and training. Each of these students have been honing their skills and preparing to showcase their abilities in this esteemed event. Please join me in welcoming the top students of our academy." The crowd erupted into cheers, a wave of excitement washing over the arena. Kaizen felt a surge of happiness as he looked around, taking in the sea of faces filled with anticipation and support. The principal continued, her voice carrying the weight of her words. "These tournaments are not only about winning," she emphasized. "They are about learning, growing, and pushing the boundaries of what you believe you can achieve. It is about respect for your opponents, for your instructors, and most importantly for yourselves." Kaizen glanced at his fellow competitors, each one standing tall, ready to prove themselves. Principal Kamiko's speech shifted to a tone of encouragement. "To our students, this is your moment. Show us what you've got, give it your all, and remember that every match is a step forward in your path to becoming a respected shinobi of our village. To our audience, your support is invaluable. Cheer for these young warriors, for your voices give them strength." The crowd responded with a thunderous applause, the stadium vibrating with their enthusiasm. "Let the tournament begin," she declared, her voice echoing across the arena.